Yo, what is up, guys? Joker bringing you another video for Diablo 4. At this point, because I have a couple hundred hours in the game and I've literally done all the content in the game, I wanted to bring a video going over the three biggest tips and tricks I can give to any new player coming to Diablo 4. And right before we get into it, if you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, and subscribing, if you get anything out of any of my videos or any of my content, I'd greatly appreciate it. Coming in at number one is probably the biggest tip that I can give any player coming to Diablo 4, and that's going to be resource management. I've been seeing that there's a mentality of wanting to stockpile your resources, and players are hindering themselves incredibly just because they're afraid to use their gold, they're afraid to use their crafting resources because they're either not getting enough or they don't know how much they're going to be receiving later game. And let me tell you, the amount of gold and resources you get in World Tier 3 and 4 is insane. You have an abundance of unused resources at this point, and I'm only level 80, and I've used millions and millions of gold, and I'm still sitting on 5 million gold that I just literally really can't do anything with because I haven't found anything to try to upgrade and stuff like that. So you kind of have the feeling of regret because these upgrades are so significant. There's something that could push you into the next world tier. There's something that could help you beat your capstone dungeon or just grind more efficiently, period. And there's no such thing as wasting them because the amount of resources that you use getting to tier 3 is negligible. Like, as you can see, this first tier is only 4k, but it is going to be buffing my DPS by 43 flat, and it's going to be giving me so much more additional benefits on top of that. I mean, look at that amount of additional overpower damage that I'm getting. That's 15% overpower damage on this weapon from just going to tier 1. And if I go ahead and bump it all the way to tier 3, it's hundreds of damage that I'm missing out on for practically nothing. It didn't even take me, what, 100k to get hundreds of DPS per second. It's an insane damage increase, and it's incredibly wasteful if you're not taking advantage of it because you're going to have so many of these resources, it almost doesn't matter. On top of that, I've been seeing a lot of people afraid to respec, and that makes no sense to me either because once you get to the later levels, respecking, that's the point when it gets expensive. When you're level 40, 50, 60, it's really not that expensive to respec. So if you're finding gear that is build defining like the Storm Wolf stuff or the Werebear gear and you're thinking about re-rolling, just do it. You're not going to be missing out on anything. The amount of gold you use re-rolling is going to be so negligible that you almost won't even notice it. Go grind dungeons for like 10 minutes and you're going to recoup that gold just because of the amount of gold you receive. All right, coming in at number two is going to be something that is an incredible amount of player power that you may be missing out on, and that is going to be world events. For whatever reason, if you're not doing world events such as the World Boss, Hell Tides, Legions, you're missing out insanely because of the amount of resources and gear that these things do give you. Legions are going to give you a large amount of obols, gold, and gear. Helltide is going to give you some exclusive crafting materials that you can only receive from Helltide, as well as it does give you access to a resplendent chest that just vomits out sacred and ancestral items, and as well as the amount of EXP and gold you're going to be receiving from it as well. On top of that, the last thing being world bosses, they're going to be giving you an incredibly powerful cache that you're able to even store for later. That's just going to once again give you an incredible amount of high level resources. And there have actually been two quality of life websites that came out to help you out with this. These are going to be tracking world bosses and hell tides for you. Let's go over to those. So first up, we have helltides.com. This is not only going to time the hell tide for you, but this is also going to show you where that incredibly powerful resplendent chest is. That way you don't have to try to track it down on your own because normally it was hidden, and before you had to be in a Discord or hope that a streamer found it and you were able to just get the location from them. Otherwise, you're scanning this entire hell tide trying to find it. And a lot of times, unless you scan the entire thing, you weren't finding it. But with this website, it gives us the ability of just farming the hell tide for the first 30 minutes, going and getting the two resplendent chests, getting those 10 sacred or ancestral items, and then farming for the next 30 minutes after it swaps and randomizes where the chest is, and getting another 10 sacred or ancestral items. This is such a huge website that I figured I needed to bring attention because it's such a huge quality of life. The amount of player power you're getting from knowing where these chests are is just insane. On top of that, the other website we have is going to be Diablo for Life. This is going to be tracking world bosses for you, their timers. And like I said, you're going to be wanting to farm these for those caches because even if you can't open them right now, you can save them for those higher level materials when you hit that level. This comes in handy if you're a player that can only play a couple of hours a day. You're going to want to try to get on around these time frames. That way you're making sure you're able to hit the world bosses, and it does make it easier for you to be able to actually access some of the best, most powerful content in the game, some of the most rewarding content in the game. This helps you track it down and time your play schedule along with these world events. And rounding out this video with probably the biggest tip I can give anyone coming into Diablo 4 is do not burn yourself out. You've probably seen a lot of content creators already do all of the content in the game, rush to that end game, and that's for a really important reason. We have to go ahead and kind of know life the game to see what it has, but as just a casual player, you're actually the optimal player base that Blizzard is trying to target. Blizzard is making Diablo 4 for the gaming dad that only has 3 or 4 hours a day to play. Right now, there's really nothing to do in an end game. And if you rush here, you're going to just end up burning yourself out. And you want to be hyped for season one that comes out in July. So play at your own pace. You don't have to beat all the content before season one. I'll make a video going over a couple of recommendations of things to do by season one, but by no means do you have to have all the content done by season one. You barely have to do anything by season one. And if you're having fun only playing a couple of hours a day, good. Because something else you don't want to hit is nerfs. If you're playing at a casual pace, you're not even going to see and or feel a lot of the nerf slash changes they're going to be making going up until season one. So a lot of it is still going to be fresh and exciting to you. And that's why this is really the biggest tip or trick that I can give you is don't burn yourself out. Diablo 4 is for more of that casual gaming dad. Keep enjoying it, keep having fun. Don't listen to anyone that says you have to rush to a certain point in the game because you literally don't. But that's pretty much it. Let's round out the video. Alright, and to recap the video, don't feel bad about quote unquote wasting resources. There's no such thing as wasting resources, especially in the early game and leveling stages of it. You're going to have so many resources and so much gold that you'd rather have the power and survivability that upgrading your gear constantly gives you compared to sitting on 3 million gold that you're doing nothing with. Because once you get to the end game, 3 million gold really isn't anything. It's like one re-roll on gear. So it's not even like it's going to help you that much. The amount of player power, quality of life, and survivability you're going to get from naturally progressively upgrading your gear is going to be so much more important than just sitting on a stack of gold or resources. Tip number two being not missing any world events. You're going to want to use those two websites to really track hell tides and world bosses. In case you're someone who doesn't have a large amount of hours to play, you're going to want to try to hop on around the times of that if you can reason, just because it's going to get you more benefit for your play time, more bang for your buck, essentially, if you can only play for 2 hours, but during those 2 hours, you're able to kill a world boss, or you're able to do a hell tide, or do a couple legions, stuff like that. You're going to want to try to utilize it around those times. That way, you're actually getting massive benefits for your playtime. Apart from that, the only other thing that I could really think of as a tip is do not burn yourself out. We have season one coming here in July, and there's literally no reason to rest at endgame right now. There's nothing for you here, and if anything, it's more wasteful to be here than to not be here. A lot of content creators, you see us at endgame because we literally had to see what there was to do at endgame, and now we can safely say, take your time. There's no reason for you to rush to endgame. The only thing to do at endgame is min max. So apart from that, there's really nothing that I can say. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos if this helped you out at all. And until next time, take care.